Bill Pickett was born in Texas, the son of an enslaved man. He was not only an African American, but also Cherokee. Bill couldn't resist the lure of being a cowboy, so he left school in the 5th grade to become a ranch hand. He's credited for inventing the technique of bulldogging. Today, rodeo calls it steer wrestling. At the turn of the century, Bill joined the 101 Ranch Wild West show, performing under the name the Dusky Demon. His popularity took him around the world and was even seen in motion pictures. At the age of 61, Bill passed away and was laid to rest at the 101 Ranch near Marlin, Oklahoma.
I think Bill Pickett meant a lot to these cowboys, especially when you look at the ones from the Civil Rights era. They see him as a legend, and they also see him as a somewhat of a mentor, even though they've never met him.
I said, damn. Yeah, I'm like, wow. I said, willpower, the power of the mind, determination, the tenacity. That's what I saw out of Bill Pickett, tenacity. I'm gonna defeat, I'm gonna conquer, this challenge that's ahead of me, which is 1,100 pound steer. That is a challenge. Talking about throwing him with your teeth, that's a challenge. People look at each other. And to see something like that, I think it's an inspiring thing to see. To give you, hey, if this man could throw a cow with his teeth, I could be a doctor.
I have found some of the greatest black cowboys all have had some touch point here in Oklahoma. Bass Reeves was a U.S. Marshal and ended up in Muskogee. Bill Pickett ended up in Oklahoma at one time. I believe even Nat Love was in Oklahoma at one time. So I think within the mixture of Oklahoma and Texas is where we see a lot of the greatest. And I mean, we have to admit that both states are definitely cowboy country.
To me, it's very heartwarming for myself to be an African American and to get in a sport that there wasn't many of us doing it. But I grew up in the streets doing some stuff, country. Then I moved to Oklahoma City. I was in the streets doing stuff I had no business doing. And I got back to riding horses, and it kind of saved me, truthfully. But at the end of the day, I'm very, very fortunate and thankful to God that I was able to be put in the situation with the right people and to get the opportunity that I had.
What it means to me personally to be a black cowboy, it means a lot coming from the history, from what it really was. It wasn't really meant for it to be a big thing for us cowboys as far as being black. It was meant to be degrading, and it kind of got switched around. Everybody wanted to be a cowboy after that.
Well, in school they never talked about the black cowboy ever. They kept it out of the history books and everything. And just to be able to just start something that, when I say start something, because there's been tons of black cowboys, but just finish out where it was started on and left out. I mean, it really just brightens up my day. I professionally rodeo, but I'm never too big to come back to where I start from. I started right here at the Black Rodeo, going to Boley, Eastside, Clearview, Old Muggy. Those are the rodeos that got me actually started and wanting to compete.
And it means a lot to me to be able to be a black cowboy, in this thing, because, a black cowboy in this industry is kind of looked over a little bit. So it really makes me feel good and gives me a lot of excitement.
A lot of people laugh about because other people come out and wear stuff and they're not supposed to be cowboys, but that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, we want to be cowboys and we do the cowboy stuff, and we want everybody to embrace what we got going on at the same time. It's a culture trend. So that means you're doing something right when somebody wants to follow.
To be an African American and be able to go to the level that I did in rodeo and accomplish the things that I have accomplished, and I can't even describe it.
I will tell you, a lot of the cowboys that were in the civil rights movement, cowboys that were the first at their universities to be able to be on rodeo teams, to be able to get their information and their history out has been huge.
1965 or 68, a fella came out here from New Jersey that had gone to Oklahoma or Texas, and he saw there were black cowboys there, and he wanted to bring a rodeo to New Jersey or New York. So Cleo Hearns, myself, Charles Evans, and Marvell Rogers, we got together and formed the American Black Cowboys Association. We took a rodeo to New Jersey in 71 or 72.
Man, I started rodeoing in 1977, my first year. And in 79, I won the SCRA Rookie of the Year and Steel Wrestling Champion. And I went to Prairie View on the rodeo scholarship. We was on the rodeo. In fact, we was the only intercollegiate black rodeo team in college.
So I started out roping calves when I was about 12, and I done pretty good, and I roped calves up until college. Went to OSU, and I roped out there for a little while on the rodeo team. And then I got into steer wrestling. I found out that I liked steer wrestling a whole lot better than I did calf roping, and I just kind of, after then, I was all in on steer wrestling.
We were like pioneers in getting things done. Now they're able to go anywhere they want and join any associations they want. Gotten several black guys that have made the NFR now.
Being able to follow behind Clarence LeBlanc, that is a legend, no matter your color. I mean, he's just that guy. But for me to be able to have him as a mentor, even outside of rodeo, like I can call that man about anything and he's gonna be there to help me.
Well, I was probably 25 before I ever met a world champion, so I had no idea. I just loved the sport and loved doing what I was doing, And the more I got out on the road and traveled around, I got to meet people that were world champions, and I was so impressed with them and how they lived their lives, how they worked, their work ethics and everything, because I wanted to improve all the time. And that's what really motivated me, because I seen so much where I can improve, improve my skills and be successful rodeoing.
Well, this all started because my husband Roy was a calf roper, and there were other black cowboys in this city of Okmulgee and the state of Oklahoma, and they were not allowed to participate during the rodeo. They had to participate after the rodeo was over. And according to Roy, they never won any money. I mean, I don't even know if they kept their times that they had. So that is what motivated them to get together and start their own event.
So the rodeo today in Okmulgee, Oklahoma has grown to be just a massive event that I don't think even my grandfather, when he was alive, could imagine. In 2010, my grandfather did pass, and that's when the name of the rodeo changed from the Okmulgee Invitational Rodeo to the Roy LeBlanc Invitational Rodeo.
Well, when I was a kid growing up, the one thing you look forward to all year in Okmulgee was the Okmulgee Rodeo. I'd go and watch all these cowboys from all over the country that would come to participate, and there was some pretty good characters, there were all kinds of people, and I was impressed with a lot of them with their ability to ride and so forth, and I wanted to be just as good as they were.
It's definitely a growing sport, and there needs to be more black cowboys. So I encourage, mothers to let your kids to grow up to be cowboys.
When I started, as far as being black and be a successful rodeo cowboy, that wasn't heard of. When these kids come along and they see a guy that's made it, well, then they realize, well, heck, I can do it too. Sky's the limit. It's just a good man can do a lot of good things.
I would encourage every young kid in America, if it was possible, get you a horse, and that would occupy your time with things, to determine, because if you have no dream, if you have no plans, you have no journey on this earth. So you must have a dream, a desire, and a plan. That way you can find your purpose on earth. So ride on, grind on, guys.